Well, good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. I'm Jason Moss, the marketing manager for Allied Communications, and as always, I'm here with Brian Doyle and John Reese. What's up,
Good
guys?
morning.
How you doing, guys?
As you can see, we have a special guest today, so we'd like to welcome Joann Freda. She handles marketing and development and business development for Allied Communications. Joann, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
Oh, fine, thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're very excited to have you, Joe.
Definitely.
Yes, we've been looking
New
forward
face.
to this.
Gotta switch it up a little bit. Sure, everybody's
That's
getting
right.
tired of just us, right?
Yeah, it's nice to get some female talent in here, definitely. So today we're going to talk to Joann a little bit about, marketing and sales in 2020, especially with everything been going on. She's going to share some of her experiences with us and some of the things that she's learned over the years, and especially as of recent.
Yeah, I work very closely with Joann and kind of trying to get things moving on the sales and marketing side. I've seen Joann take some interesting tactics during the time, the period of COVID to kind of try to expand her network and go from there. So, we asked her to join us today and kind of tell us a little bit about, of course, herself, her experiences in the past, but more importantly, what are things that she's trying to do to kind of shake things up as we're now selling in the new normal where people aren't necessarily at the office. They're scattered about and they're communicating in different places. So with that, Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit about, kind of 30 seconds on your background and then jump into, what you've traditionally done and what you're doing today.
Well, thank you very much again for having me. And I've had about 30 years of inside and outside sales experience, primarily for Allied. I am a sales development rep or an SDR. I'm finding that things have changed a lot in sales. You can't just email and ask for a meeting anymore. It's all about relationships. It's all about building value for whatever you're selling. And I'm also finding that with remote work, it's a little bit more difficult now. You can't even get a gatekeeper on the phone, obviously, because the office is closed. So you have to get more creative. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, for example, really consider getting a LinkedIn account. It's an invaluable resource. You can also sometimes get personal emails on some of the contacts that you're trying to connect with. So if you can't reach them because they're remote, I'm finding that personal email sometimes does work.
So you're talking about like Gmail accounts, things like that, as opposed to even the corporate accounts? Wow, okay.
Correct. I'm also finding, just from what I've been learning, speaking with other SDRs in different industries, that it's very important. About 60% of emails that you do send out now are viewed on a mobile phone. So you should definitely space, make yourself very concise, space your sentencing, make your emails a little bit more brief so that that person can, if they're interested, review it quickly on a mobile phone. So that's another thing that I feel is very important for SDRs to know. And again, I have avoided going after the meeting pitch right away because relationships are very important. You should do some background on who you're contacting, but it doesn't have to be an hour research. It could be very just what they do. Correct.
I've been involved with a lot of that with Joann. I mean, she of course opens the doors, and when I come in and she brings me in, it's like, wow, like she built a relationship with this client, and it really does add value. And Joann has definitely done a good job with this from what I've seen working with her.
And it goes back to what we've always talked about, which is there's kind of a 9-touch principle that's out there, right? For a customer to get to know, like, and trust you, they've had to relate with your brand or your person, 9 different ways. They've maybe had to see an email. They've maybe had to see a post. That's why Jason is so active on social media, kind of guiding us with our posting. Then they're seeing the emails that Joann's touching them with, the LinkedIn touches that she's making, and some of the referrals around there. And, to get to that point where it's sales ready, like you're talking about, John, it really comes down to making those 9 touches and getting out there and doing it. So, Joann, I think you'd agree with this, a lot of legwork to get the reward, right? It's not, I pick up the phone, I make 100 dials today, and whoopee, I got, 3 appointments and let's go. reality is,
Right.
it's probably not until your fourth call before you're even getting any traction with anybody.
And also I'm learning with the new remote work world. And I watch and study a lot of different sales tactics on my own. When SDRs are attacking like the C-level, that's now with the remote concept between 18 and 20 touches before you actually get the C-level. So if you can't get to that C-level, it doesn't hurt to go below. But I'm also finding that if I can't get that director, I'll try to get the C-level. I'll go right to the C-level. So you have to be creative. Again, relationships, number one, I can't emphasize enough value, because if you're selling a commodity, you've got to set yourself apart. You really have to, and be creative with your emails, with your tone. So yeah, it's a little bit of a different world, but there's no magic sauce. I think it's a culmination of social media, email, phone. But I'm finding social media can really be a gold mine for a lot of SDRs that are struggling out there.
So, one of the things I've seen you do, Joann, is it's less about the posting with you, and it's more about the responses, and it's going beyond just clicking the like button. It's actually going in there and commenting or reaching out to people. So, have you really found that almost as important as putting up a post is really just kind of engaging with people and doing those responses as you go through the process?
Yes, and I'm also finding that with a lot of my contacts, business owners, again, C-level, if you engage in their posts, I've actually been a little bit more assertive lately and have messaged them and said, can you go on and comment on my post? Can you like my post? And they're so gracious. And that's what it's all about. That's what LinkedIn is all about, trying for everyone to help each other. There's also a lot of invaluable webinars that are free for SDRs that are struggling out there that I find very informative, and I've learned a lot through other SDRs that I have relationships with. So I do try to connect with them as well, because it's a learning. We're like a community. It's a learning experience.
Yeah, Joann's constantly sending the team links of things that she's found out there for us to look at. So, there's a lot of that, sharing is caring. You got to give to get. I can probably quote 20 songs that really kind of go into that concept, but it's true, right? People want to engage with people that are engaging with them and helping them in the process as well. And then you can ask for it. And I think that's another key thing, Joe. You're asking people for something. And that's something that a lot of reps struggle with, the ask. Can I get you to post? Can I get you to like? Warming them up with something small. So then when you go, can we get a half hour on the phone? Now it doesn't feel like it's as big an ask with somebody you've done some things for. John, you got something you wanted to jump in on.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, like, the fact is that, it is about building relationships, but you got it right, Joann. You do have to come in and do those asks, and you got to be a little bit more forceful sometimes. You can't just kind of lay back and wait for someone to come to you. Yeah, you built a relationship, you could be friends, but, it is still about selling the products and services that we have to offer. So there is a little bit of, extra steps to take after that relationship.
The odds of you cold calling to a C-level or whatever, they don't know you. People don't buy from someone they don't know. They buy from someone that they trust. They buy from someone they feel they have a connection with. So, again, that's very important.
I wanted to ask one thing. I know on
really
LinkedIn
enjoyed the conversation.
that you follow a few sales leaders on LinkedIn, influencers. One that comes to mind is Brian Burns. And just for the listeners out there of someone to follow. We get a lot of good ideas from.
He's got wonderful podcasts. He's got wonderful podcasts. He interviews some very successful salespeople. There's also SDR Nation, not just for sales development reps, that I've just joined that group. So there's other groups that that are available. So again, it's invaluable. It's invaluable, and you'll constantly learn.
Perfect.
I hope that helps.
Well, that wraps up our time. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Joann, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again in the future. Love to have you on again.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend, everyone.
All right. Take care now.
Thank you.